Hello, you are watching New Vision TV News. I am Ruth Naseje. It is coming to 2 decades since Dr. Kizza Besigye mounted a spirited campaign to wrest power from the old NRM group through elections. But the more Besigye fights, the more his former boss, General Yoweri Museveni, digs in. It now looks like Besigye, even though he has done a lot to expand the democratic space, it looks like his own chances of going to Entebbe State House are receding as new players emerge. New Vision TV tries to look at Besigye's receding view of Canaan.
Last week, while launching his new Tubalemese campaign, former presidential candidate Kizza Besigye explicitly called on members of the armed forces to mutiny.
A subject for isolation and total rejection campaign. Shall continue campaign to isolate them and reject them totally.
It is telling enough that the soldiers that he once claimed to support him by up to 90% did not heed his call. It is even more telling that the government chose to ignore him. But could the authorities have ignored Besigye's call to mutiny 6 to 10 years ago? Is he no longer regarded as a serious threat to the establishment? During his extended farewells as he retired from the high office of Chief Justice, Justice Benjamin Odochi signaled out Colonel Besigye as deserving credit for contributing to the expansion of Uganda's democratic space. In Odochi's view, Besigye should not assume that he failed just because he never got the presidency yet. While many might share Odochi's view, is Dr. Besigye himself ready to be satisfied with what he has achieved? In his dramatic style of campaigning, Besigye once said that he has been shaking and shaking the NRM until it became so weak it was about to collapse. He started his overt journey to shake up the NRM in 1999. In meetings held by historical leaders of the NRM, he advocated for the then no-party movement, fielding another presidential candidate than Museveni in 2001. His fellow historicals insisted that Museveni, who had defeated Besigye in Uganda's first direct presidential election of 1996, should be allowed to stand for a second term, which after all would be his last. When Besigye told them that the constitution would be changed before 2006 to allow Museveni keep standing, the historicals laughed him out of the meeting. Besigye then wrote a critique of the Museveni's leadership, which made him a candidate for the court-martial since he was an active serving officer of the army. It took a delegation of Bahora elders to persuade Commander-in-Chief Museveni to have the military court-martial charges against Besigye dropped and having him discharged from the army with honours. The moment Colonel Besigye picked his discharge certificate at Bombo, he locked himself in his car and started calling media houses announcing his discharge. It was too late to reverse it and Besigye was ready to go. Knowing that criminal charges could be brought against him that year, in 2000, he hastened to declare his readiness to stand for president in the following year's presidential elections. Everything changed. One Agri Awori had been going around as the new force to take on Museveni. Suddenly Awori, a UPC diehard, was eclipsed by Besigye, who was an NRM insider. Besigye proceeded to mount a spirited campaign. His campaign got a real shot in the arm when he was joined by Ali Haji Nasser Sebagala, who had been disqualified from standing on grounds of insufficient academic qualifications. Sebagala started by discarding Besigye's campaign symbol of the ear for listening and introduced that hammer of hammering Museveni out of power. The campaign trail went wild. President Museveni won, but Besigye had made his mark and had become recognizable countrywide. Besigye filed a petition against the election, but the Supreme Court, while acknowledging irregularities, dismissed it. But Besigye's most intense and memorable campaign was for his second shot at presidency in the 2016 electoral campaign. He had escaped from the country, beating around-the-clock surveillance by the chieftains of military intelligence after its boss, then Brigadier Noble Mayombo, foiled his attempts to travel several times. Besigye has never disclosed how he fled the country, reportedly due to fear of jeopardizing his collaborators in the security apparatus. Then in 2005, two things happened. First for all, his prophecy to the historicals that the constitution would be amended to remove the presidential term limits came to pass. Then, he returned from exile in South Africa and was arrested and charged with rape and treason. He was nominated as a presidential candidate in absentia because he was in prison. He spent part of the campaign in prison, and when he was finally granted bail, he was spending a lot of time in court on trial for the capital offences. Again, he fought a spirited battle, but Museveni won. Besigye petitioned again, and though the Supreme Court did not overturn the elections, all 7 judges concurred that the elections had not been held in full accordance with the law. Although the 2011 elections were peaceful, and this time Besigye did not petition court, the fallout that followed was the most unprecedented in the country's independence history. Walk to work. Besigye's confrontation with the state reached a climax when police broke his car window and sprayed him with pepper, nearly blinding him. He was treated in Nairobi and America to save his sight. A senior police officer, Sam Omala, was assigned to keep vigilance at Besigye's gate to ensure he did not walk to work. With his credentials as a fearless, self-sacrificing activist firmly established, Besigye stepped down from political party presidency of the Forum for Democratic Change and started his countrywide mobilization and sensitization tours. He passed the FDC mantle to his former army boss, retired General Mugisha Muntu. But Besigye returned to contest for party flag bearer against Muntu, beating him. The 2016 election campaign was relatively peaceful, and Besigye did not petition court, leaving it to the third candidate, Amama Mbabazi, who had just fallen out of the NRM, where he had been Secretary General, but got ejected by Young Turks after he tried to challenge Chairman Museveni for the party's candidature. Soon after the 2016 elections, Besigye's profile rose because he was detained and confined to his Kasangati home immediately after the polls. He had stormed the security safe house at Naguru, where he claimed the election results were being tampered with. All significant ambassadors accredited to Kampala traveled to Kasangati to meet him, where they were guided by the sharp, watchful AIGP Andrew Felix Kawesi. After the years, Besigye's trademark of fearlessness has come under challenge. New movements of young activists have cropped up. Though many have been short-lived and others compromised by political forces, their creative and fearless confrontations with the police have taken the shine off Besigye's brand. Finally, the radical youth have started making their way to Parliament, and they have the numbers of funds. Any time in the future, these youth will converge around a unified leadership. If this happens before Besigye becomes president, then he might never be.
Moving on, the Uganda People's Congress Party has commended the slight improvement in the last year's primary leaving examinations. Addressing journalists during the weekly press conference at the party headquarters located at Uganda House in Kampala on Wednesday, the party spokesperson Mike Osinde said more effort is needed in the English and mathematics subjects. Speaking during the release of the exams last week, the Uganda National Examinations Board Executive Secretary Dan Okorach Odong reported an improvement in performance last year compared to 2016. He said about 90.9% of the candidates had qualified to join the secondary and other post-primary education institutions compared to 87% of the 2016. A total of 646,190 candidates sat for the examinations last year. And news coming in from Tororo District, police have arrested 2 notorious car robbers, 2 garage operators and 2 police officers on suspicion of involvement in numerous car thefts across the entire eastern region. In an operation that was led by the Besigye Regional Police Commander Julius Gobolo, the operatives also recovered stolen Toyota Primo car fitted with fake number plates like UAQ 197S. They were smoked out from their hideout in Florico Hotel in Tororo Municipality on Monday afternoon, where they have been staying since 10th of December 2017. The arrested include Ivan Akwanga and Jovian Munyao, both residents of Kwapa Sub-County, while others are garage operators and the 2 police officers whose identities were concealed since investigations are going on. And in our sports news, the Uganda Cranes coach Sebastian Desabre confirmed about the developments ahead of Cranes' second tie with Namibia this Thursday in the ongoing Africa Nations Championship in Morocco.
For us to react to the next game, I think yesterday during the first half we play a good half, but in the second half it's more difficult for us, and in football it's very important to success for the lot of chance, because yesterday we had a lot of chance to score, and the result is bad yesterday, but the competition is not finished. We still have two games, and we can focus on the next game.
KCCA AFC striker Mohamed Shaban, who suffered a knock on his ankle of the right leg during the Monday training, was the only player doubtful for the Thursday game, but his injury was supposed to be assessed by the Uganda Cranes medical team. The Africa Nations Championship biannual event is exclusively featuring players who are active in the national championships. Rwanda hosted the last edition in 2016 that was won by DRC. The CHAN finals that kicked off last weekend till February 4th is being played in the following cities: Casablanca Group A, Marrakech Group B, Tanja Group C and Agadir Group D. Cranes, who are currently at the bottom in Group B, will play Namibia in their next game this Thursday before wandering up the group stages with the tie against Ivory Coast on January 22nd. You're still watching New Vision TV, and in our Daily Pearl of Africa series, we look at wedding with the flamingos. They have long legs and necks, a pinkish orange in color, and wade in water. We are talking about flamingos. These bird species are commonly located at Lake Mnyanyanga, which is located in the northeastern part of Katwe, Kabatoro Town Council. The abundance of these flamingos are attributed to the constant migration from far places of Kenya and also Canada. So let's take a look. When you wade the waters of Lake Mnyanyanga, tall, graceful and beautifully colored pinkish-orange birds catch your eye. They are the most instantly recognizable wading birds in the world, the flamingo birds. In the midst of the other birds such as white-browed African hoppers, winding, desert seed callers, among so many others, flamingos are the most recognizable wading birds in the world, and special to the hearts of birders and non-birders. The flamingo birds migrate from as far as Kenya and even Canada. These end up settling at Lake Mnyanyanga. Flamingo stream from the word flamingo, a Spanish and a Latin word which means fire and refers to the bright color of the bird's feathers. The pink, orange or red color of a flamingo's feathers is caused by a pigment in their food. The wild flamingo's diet includes chirping, plankton and algae from the water sources. If those food sources do not provide enough pigmentation, flamingos may seem more gray or white, but they are still healthy and strong. Flamingos' oddly shaped beaks are specially adapted to separate mud and silt from the food they consume. Flamingos have a world lifespan of 20 to 30 years. Many flamingos are threatened by predators and poachers. An adult bird is 3.3 to 4.6 feet tall and weigh between 3.3 to 9 pounds. Lake Munyanyange has now become a tourist area for bird watching to many tourists who come to Uganda. For more Pearl of Africa stories, visit our website www.newvision.co.ug. Our newspaper, The Sunday Vision, is also another home of adventures, so get your copy every Sunday for Pearl of Africa stories. And that's all we had for you. Thank you for watching. Be sure to catch more news updates and other programs by visiting our website www.newvision.co.ug. I am Roithe Naseje.